Hey there, welcome to the garden. How pretty is this new bloom on the ranunculus? So gorgeous. Oh my gosh. And I'm just loving the look of the colors with this lettuce, which is looking beautiful. I have got to get out here and like pick some of this. I gotta get some recipes. Maybe I'll make a salad this weekend, and I could even include some of the violas because of course violas are an edible flower. This could be like a really fancy looking salad. This could be really, really pretty. Super happy, and just, oh my gosh. I mean, it's just so stunning. And look at all these buds. So many buds on this. I'm really happy that even though we got so much rain, oh my gosh, lots and lots of rain, it didn't harm the ranunculus. So I just deadheaded a couple spent flowers, but they really held up to all that water pretty well, which is very encouraging to see. And it looks great. I mean, how healthy does that look? The lettuce looks great. Everything's looking beautiful. Oh my gosh, I love it. And I am coming out today to plant up another container. I'm actually going to try to grow some sweet potatoes in a container this year. So let me run and grab my sweet potato, my seed sweet potatoes, and then I'll show you the container and kind of what I'm thinking as far as growing these sweet potatoes in a container. I honestly was going to wait on the sweet potatoes for when we had like the raised beds, but I just want to get them in the ground, and so we're going to try out container growing. Let me show you the setup. All right, so let's talk about the container and container growing something like sweet potatoes, what I kind of think through in my process. I haven't actually grown sweet potatoes in a container before. Well, I should say I haven't grown edible sweet potatoes. I have grown sweet potato vines, which sometimes produce a sweet potato and sometimes don't. But these potatoes, what I have here are some seed potatoes that are actually like the seed potato for some real like foods. So I am going to be growing this for food. Is what the little sweet potatoes look like. And it's just like what I could grab at like my local Lowe's. But my plan with this is to give it as much space as possible. So there are some things when you are looking at container growing that you can get away with a smaller container. Some plants like lettuce or peas don't put off a huge root system. So the actual size of the container isn't as big of an issue. But of course we are growing sweet potatoes and we want to have lots and lots of tubers. So I basically grabbed the biggest container that I could find. I have this big, actually this is the wrong one. I need to grab a different one, but I just wanted a big container where I could give these potatoes as much room as possible. Let me go grab the right one, because this one doesn't actually have a drainage hole, and I definitely want a container with a drainage hole because we don't want these sweet potatoes to get waterlogged. So a nice big container with a drainage hole, that's key. All right, here is a better container. Has a drainage hole and everything, but it's still nice and big, lots of room. And the other thing that I want to think about this is to, again, make sure it has drainage. I'm going to use just a nice organic potting soil to fill it up and give it as much soil reservoir as I possibly can so that there's room for the sweet potatoes to really spread out and grow. They are going to make like 3 to 4 inch, not inch, foot vines, and so I'm gonna have to put this container in a space where it has lots of room for the vines to trail and grow, and then again lots of space for as many sweet potatoes to grow in this as possible. I have grown potatoes in grow bags before and they did okay, so I'm curious to try this. Now the other thing about this container that I selected was it's nice and deep, so the roots can go down, they can form. I didn't want to use like a super shallow container. I just wanted to give as much space both down and to the side. And then I also selected a plastic container. You probably could use like a terracotta pot, but what's nice about a plastic container or a grow bag is that when you're harvesting your potatoes, you can like get in here and dig around and you don't have to worry about breaking it, you know? It's not delicate. I could even take it and dump it out when it's time to harvest the potatoes if I want to. It's just gonna have like, it's just gonna be easy, you know? grow bags are really nice for that too, because you can just kind of like roll them down. You can get in there, you can get at your potatoes. You just don't have to fuss with being worried about, yeah, basically, you know, breaking your pots or anything like that. So it's something to consider too, depending on what your crop is. Like, are you going to need to get into the root system? Because if so, then something that's not as delicate or fragile is nice. All right, I'm just going to put in some potting soil, and then we're just going to plant these potatoes. It says to plant them at 3 to 5 inches, so that should be easy enough. Let's fill this up and plant some sweet potatoes. All right, there it is. As I said, I just used a normal, like, organic potting mix, and then I planted them down about 3 inches. I'm going to cover it over, and then I will water this in when I am done filming for today and keep it pretty well watered. This is a self-watering container, which, you know, I usually water my containers enough that it being self-watering doesn't really matter, but that'll help to make sure that the sweet potatoes stay hydrated. And they do like a fair bit of water because they are producing these tubers. So it is something that hopefully will work to my advantage and help to keep things, you know, evenly watered, and the plants will have enough to keep going. So hopefully that will work out well. It's not a huge container, you know, even as I'm looking at it here, it's maybe 18 inches across. We will see. I will let you know how the harvest goes with this. As big a container as possible would be best, because the more room it has, the more, the bigger potatoes and everything are going to grow. I imagine my sweet potatoes will be somewhat smaller, actually, because I put all 3 sweet potatoes in that container. I'm not expecting a huge harvest of just massive sweet potatoes. A lot of times when you kind of constrict the space, things just end up getting smaller. If you've ever grown a sunflower in a container, you could plant a mammoth sunflower seed and it'll still only get like a couple feet tall if it's in a container with other stuff, because it just kind of tends to stunt things a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and probably guess that my sweet potatoes are gonna be a little bit smaller than they would be if I did them in ground or even in a raised bed. But as always, you know, we'll just see. The other thing that is nice about sweet potatoes is that they're really pretty. Of course, we buy sweet potato vines as annuals to put in containers. Every year I put sweet potato vines in containers. I absolutely love them. And a lot of those sweet potato vines are very like decorative. The leaves have been bred to be very ornate. You know, there's some that are like the dark purples and reds, and then there's the light, like super bright greens. These will probably be a more neutral green vine, but I still think they're really pretty. And these should turn into a absolutely huge vine. I am kind of tempted to pull out. I might do it. Honestly, I think I'm gonna pull out one of these potatoes. I just feel like this is too small of a space for all 3 of those. So I'm just gonna do the 2. Just move it over here. Okay, so we got the 2 in here. And then what I think will actually be pretty for the decorative look of my garden is to put another guy in like a corner of one of my raised beds, so there'll be kind of some balance, and this will be big and huge. Even just one of these will create a big vine. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and sprout this though, because I already obviously got it wet, and I do want to get the garden started. So I'm just gonna grab a small pot, put a little potting soil in it, and let it get started, kind of like a start, and then I will transplant it into one of the raised beds once I get those set up. Not the ideal way, probably maybe better just to wait, but since I've on the fly reevaluated this situation, I'm just gonna go with it. Right, so here we're just gonna put a little potting soil in, pop this guy in, and then cover it up. Just basically start it in here. As soon as it starts sprouting, and as soon as I get my raised beds set up, then I will go ahead and transplant it. This is my ginger that I planted with you all the other day. It got kind of splashed on by the rain, so I'm just gonna add a little bit more soil. We just had so much rain, which really didn't do too much damage, but it did splash out of some of the soil. So there we have it. Okay, so one that's gonna sprout, we'll transplant that, remove my potting soil, and then we've got the big pot that's got the 2 sweet potato. I'm just gonna move this over here. Right now I'm just sort of grouping all my containers, and then I'm gonna keep moving and adjusting them as the garden continues to grow, which hopefully it will be doing more and more every week. But we're starting to get a good collection of containers, and once I get the raised beds in here, then we'll lay the containers out and around, you know, and that'll be fun. But there is some good growth. There's a dahlia in there, so exciting things are happening in the container garden. Well, that is all for today. I'm gonna go ahead and go inside. I'm sorry if you can hear the construction next door. I'm always urban gardening, and that means that there are, you know, trucks and cars and road noise and things, and so I apologize for that and construction. But as always, thank you so much for watching. I will keep you posted on these sweet potatoes. Hope you're having a great day in your garden, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.